Hello, this is Shannon from Dogwood Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet a cute little sunglasses case. So here's what the sunglasses case looks like. It has a little drawstring, so you can pull it closed and open it up and put your sunglasses in there. And so what you'll need is one ball of yarn. I'm using Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn. This is a medium number 4 weight yarn. And then also using a 5mm crochet hook. We just chained 10, so this is our foundation chain. So you don't count the hook, the loop that's on your hook. So we're going to count into the second chain from the hook. So we don't count this when we count 1, 2. So we're going to work into the bottom back loop of the second chain from the hook. So I insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So that's a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we just started with a single crochet. Now we're going to do the trinity stitch. So we're going to work into that same chain that we just put the single crochet into. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now we're going to go into the next chain, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook. And then we're going to go into this next chain. Insert, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So now there's 4 loops on the hook. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. Just like that. Make sure your tension is loose at this part because you'll need to work into these stitches in the next row. So we just did that's a single crochet 3 together is basically what we did. And now we're going to chain 1. Make sure your chain is loose as well. So now we're going to repeat what we just did. We're going to insert our hook into the last stitch that we just worked into, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and insert your hook into the next chain and yarn over, pull up a loop. So we have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 1. One other thing for trinity stitch that I forgot to mention earlier is when you start out with your foundation chain, make sure to chain an even number of chains. That's really important. So this is our last grouping of 3 chains here. So this will be our last trinity stitch in this row. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. So we just did the last trinity stitch, and instead of chaining 1 here, we're going to place 1 more single crochet into this last chain. So we started the row with a single crochet and we're ending on a single crochet as well. So there shouldn't be any chains next to the outside single crochets. And also, so we started with a chain 10 and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches in our first row. So now we're going to chain 1. And then we're just going to repeat what we just did, but now we're going to work it into the stitches. So we chain one, we're going to single crochet in this first stitch. Okay, now we're going to single crochet 3 together. So work into that same stitch that you just worked into. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and insert it into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. So 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, and chain 1. Let's do that one more time. Insert your hook into the stitch you just worked into, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and into the next, yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain 1. So we basically just continue this pattern for the rest of the row. The single crochet 3 together and chain 1. So now we just did our last stitch. Instead of chaining 1, we're going to single crochet in this last stitch. And then we chain 1 and turn. So we'll work that trinity stitch for a total of 16 rows. Okay, so I just finished the first panel for the sunglasses case. So I just completed 16 rows of the trinity stitch. So now I'm going to repeat the same steps that I just did, and I'm going to make a second panel. So just gonna cut my yarn and fasten off. And you don't need to worry about weaving in the ends at this point. They will be weaved in as part of the assembly. So here's the first panel. I'll just set that off to the side, and I'm going to work on making the second panel now. So once again, just start with a slip knot and a chain 10, and then work the trinity stitch for 16 rows. Okay, so I just finished the second panel for this sunglasses pouch, and here's the first panel. So you can see they're looking like they're about the same size, which is perfect. But let's just measure. It's about 6.5 inches long and 3 inches wide. So that's perfect. So we fastened off on the first panel, but when you finish the second panel, don't fasten off. So just to go back a step, just worked my last single crochet. Don't chain, and we're going to line up the panels. And I like to orient them in the same way so that there's kind of less ends to deal with. You can deal with these two at the same time, but it doesn't really matter how you do it. But basically, I'm going to put the second panel on top of the first panel. You're going to have it facing this way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet all the way around these 3 sides here. And that's going to kind of close up our pouch. And then this will be the opening where we put our drawstrings, and then that's where you can put your sunglasses in. So just going to start by single crocheting these 2 panels together. And usually I do 1 single crochet per row, and I like to tuck this end in as I go. So I'm going through the stitches at the edge of each row for both panels. So let me show that a little bit more clearly. So I'm going to insert my hook into this stitch here of the first panel. And I'm also going to insert it into the same spot in the second panel. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So just single crochet all the way around. And like as I go, I like to just check that the panels are lined up and it's looking good so far. And if not, you can always pull out the yarn and start over. I still have my end here. And when it gets towards the end, I like to just kind of let it tuck into the inside of the pouch. But you could weave it in a different way if you prefer that. All right, so I just did the last stitch of this edge. And sometimes I like to just put an extra one in this corner. You can kind of play with it and see what you like best. Then we're going to work into each stitch on the bottom. So these stitches should line up pretty well. So here's the next stitch of the first panel, and then the next panel. Just putting my hook through both of those, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So just continuing this along this edge. So I'm going to continue working on joining these two panels, but I will come back when I have finished this last edge here. Okay, so we're coming up on the last stitch or two here of the border. We can see the pouch is really starting to take shape, which is exciting. So I'll just do my last single crochet. So now we have our pouch. You could see there's an opening up here for where you'll insert your sunglasses, but the rest of these three edges have been joined with a single crochet. So now what I'm going to do is I have cut 2 pieces of yarn. You could use a different color or the same color, whatever you want, but let's just measure how long I did each of these. Let's see, so each piece is about 16 inches long, and you could also just eyeball it, but I like to make sure that both pieces are the same length as each other. But what we'll be doing with these is folding them in half, and they will be acting as the drawstrings for the pouch. So I like to just kind of eyeball it by measuring, okay, it'll be crocheted into this part, and then this end will hang out about that long. So that looks like a good length to me. So what I'm going to do is I folded this in half. So I'm just holding these 2 ends together, and then I'm wrapping them under and pulling them through both loops, or this circle here, and then just pulling tight. So just tying a knot with them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out like this so that the knots are on either side. Okay, so now I'm going to lay them out how they'll look with the pouch, and then I'm going to pull my working yarn through, just so that it makes it a little bit easier as I'm finishing up this project. So I'm going to get my hook, and then I'm going to single crochet around these edges, making sure to keep the pouch open and not joining the two panels. So I'm going to be single crocheting over both of these strands of yarn, just like that. So just make sure that they're flush along the border of your panel, and then they will go, they'll be kind of incorporated into the piece that way. So I'm just single crocheting around this top edge. All right, and I just got to the last one, and just gonna make my yarn tail a little bit longer. I also like to put 2 stitches in the edge ones just to make it a little more sturdy, in my opinion. So now we're going to turn the piece over, and I always make sure that the knot is still on this side, and then just continue working, making sure that both of those drawstrings are flush against this edge here. And don't worry too much about them being loose or tight here. You'll be able to adjust that once you have finished the piece. So I'm doing 2 single crochets in this edge here again, and then just 1 single crochet in each stitch across. So just continuing to crochet around, making sure that those drawstrings are being incorporated. So I'm going to get to the end of this edge. Here's my last stitch. I'm going to do 2 single crochets into this one. And now I'm going to cut my yarn. So leave like a few inches of tail so that you can weave it in easily. And then I'm going to pull out the rest of the working yarn that we just cut so that I don't get confused. So we just worked into this stitch here. Going to turn my work again, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of our border. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through. And then I'm going to fasten off. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through and pull that tail all the way through. So now you can see the drawstrings are looking a little bit funky, but that's okay. All you need to do is just pull on them. And that's it. Now they look a little bit more normal. You can pull the pouch open again, and that's kind of how they're supposed to look. So now I'm going to weave in this end. I'll do that off camera, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I just finished weaving in my end, and here is the sunglasses pouch. Just checking the drawstrings work, and let me get my sunglasses to make sure that they fit. just pop them in there. Sometimes they might get a little bit caught the first time, just until the yarn is stretched out a little bit. So just be careful as you're putting your sunglasses in there for the first time, but make sure it closes and we're all done. So I made a few others just in some more colors to show you all. This is using the same type of yarn, but a different color. This is using a slightly lighter weight yarn. You can tell it's a little bit smaller. And then this is using a slightly bulkier weight yarn. You can tell it's a little bit bigger and thicker, but either way, you can make this sunglasses pouch with just about any yarn, any hook size, just being sure to kind of customize the number of chains you're doing and the number of rows you're working to get the dimensions that you want. But thank you so much for watching this YouTube video and tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Thank you.